Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to Macabre Mondays Presents. And we are hanging out here at Apocalypse Studios here in Winthrop. Thank you to Mr. Joseph Saul for being able to, for allowing us to come in here and do these things that we do. So, how you doing, Bobby? Hey, Jessica, Beth, and Kevin. How are you guys doing? Good. Thank you very much for joining me. What we do here on Macabre Mondays is, we read some of my published horror works. Well, that's kind of hard to say. Try saying that one 50 times fast. So, and we usually go chapter by chapter or story by story. It's a lot of it is just my short stories in my books, and we are reading from my book Midnight Snacks, which was my very first uh, dip into the horror genre. And yeah, so a lot of these stories in this book are ones that I wrote when I was like a teenager. And when I decided I was going to try to publish them, I rewrote some of them just to make them sound like they weren't written by a teenager because I wasn't fully in the brain, not like I am today at all, but I'm a little more clear headed than I was back then. Anyhow, so thank you very much for showing up, you guys. As always, you guys, I hope you guys are doing well in the heat. This heat has just been a monster. I work out in it Monday through Friday. Last weekend, I was in it all weekend as well. We had what I will call a successful Makers Fair on Saturday, organized by Bobby, Pimo, Joe Saul, and myself. And man, we really struggled to make that thing happen. And I'll be honest, I gave up a few times and was ready to throw in the towel. But we made it work. We put our heads together, and boom, we made it happen. And it was super hot. Thank God we had the tents because I think we probably would have lost some of us, myself included. um, but I we also got to make some new friends. Pimo, a couple of Pimo's friends had come down from up north, and one of them was Jared Allen, who was our busker. Great personality, great voice, very talented. And the other one was Lawrence Olin, who was also wow. I got this bought this ring from him. He makes jewelry out of coins, old coins. So there's a lot of history in the things that he produces, and also he is also an artist. He's got some great paintings out there as well. And I wish him luck in the upcoming contest. He's got his tiger painting involved in. So yeah, I got to meet two very legit, cool people. I spent some time getting to know some of the other vendors as well. Um, I finally got to meet the owner of Sojourners Tattoo Parlor because I want to get some work done, and so I might go down there and check them out. Very nice people representing them. Very nice people across the board. Stephen Hauer, who also was an artist, my rival, was sitting right next to me. So I got to know him quite a bit. Very nice guy. Hey, Larry, how you doing? Hey, absolutely, you are very welcome for the plug. Thank you very much for joining us tonight on this short story. So, it was a lot of fun. We even got to play. Bobby and I got to play there in Busker's Alley as well, and yeah, I gotta hand it to just strangers and family that just showed up and started helping put up these tents in the weather that we had. Um, it really saved our butts. I put up this big, huge double tent, um, but at least it had instructions. And so I was just going by that. I was actually reading instructions. Don't tell my father because he will remove my man card from me. And the people that were there also got to witness me running, which I never do. I haven't ran since oof, my 20s probably. And yeah, I had an ambulance call I had to take. So I had to kind of cut loose and run to that, which thankfully it was across the street. But yeah, it was very cool to see all the help. Yes. Yeah, it was awesome. And it was also cool to see the vendors. I didn't know who was all coming out and who was what they were selling or creating or whatever. I was just kind of going by whatever. And Pimo didn't really say either. He kind of mentioned this, that, and the other thing. He did mention that there were supposed to be goats there, but thankfully she didn't bring them because the heat was so bad. Um, but yeah, and it's brand new black tar, so that did wonders for all of us. But I believe all of the vendors now are just as brown as I am. So now I don't feel so alone in this town. So there you go. Yes, it was a sight to see Bradley take off and run. I bet it was. So I'm glad I didn't just like flop over on my belly flop onto the pavement, like most of those viral videos you see. I'm actually very shocked that one of you guys didn't take a video of me running, because that would be something for the archives for sure. So anyway, we are on episode 3 here, season 1 for Midnight Snacks, and we what did we read about? First one was, um, wow, I really suck. I don't know what I've read to you guys. I've read you guys so many stories I can't remember which. Last week we met the hurdy-gurdy man, which was like a humanoid cockroach that lived inside of another person, and that person abused his body quite a bit, and so the hurdy-gurdy man had to exit his host and was looking for a new one, and unfortunately for the hurdy-gurdy man, not for the poor kid, but unfortunately he couldn't fit into the little kid, so he's waiting around for a new one, a new host. So, and the first one was, oh my God, I'm gonna have to look. Um, do 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 do. Here I am cheating. Um, come on. Oh yeah, the first one was the empty cell, which was about a deranged dude that was in the Moon Valley County Jail, and he yeah, he conjured up God, which I'm sure was pretty frightening for everybody involved there. So anyhow, tonight I was sure he ended up in the dad. Oh yeah, is that what you were? Yeah, I I think I was in too big of a rush to finish a lot of the stories in this book, because it was my first book of horror. It was my first dip into horror. Um, put to publish it, I wrote all. I've got notebooks full of horror stories that I used to write in school. Um, but I was just, I think I was too much in a rush to get it published that I just kind of rushed through my stories. Um, with Pavor Nocturnus and Thin Spots, you see, obviously, if I take my time with the stories, then it ends up being a mouthful or an eyeful, I guess, since you guys are watching it but and reading it. So, anyhow, so that being said, tonight's story, A Few Bumps with the Big G. Um, it's basically kind of set up in a noir type of atmosphere in St. Paul, in a bar in St. Paul, some seedy bar in St. Paul. And there's a disgruntled man named Rodney Delaney who wants to speak with the Big G, who's kind of in charge of everything. And he may live to regret that. So I think in order to take us back in time, I kind of needed some background music to make us feel like we're in a 1940s bar in St. Paul. And this is what I came up with from The Den, I think. You guys feel like you're in a bar now? Can you hear it? Can you hear the atmosphere? All right. Well, let's get into the story. Yeah, I just farted. Thanks, Chuck. Thank you for that. A few bumps. You can just hear me talking. Maybe I'll have to turn it up. How about now? You can't hear it either, Jessica? Did you guys hear music at the beginning? This is scaring me. I'm beginning to think that it didn't. Hmm. Yeah, I got it cranked. Okay, well, screw it then. I guess we don't. I started the show with a song, and then oh well. You need a tech guy. I do. Yeah, I do need a tech guy. I don't know why it's not coming across. So, anyways, but you guys can hear my voice, obviously. So, just me talking. Okay. All right. So I'm guessing nothing is coming through this mic. You guys are just hearing me off of the laptop thing because yeah, it's just doing what it's doing. Again, I need to change the name from b.hive Productions to technical difficulties. All right. Well, I'll just turn this damn music off because it's kind of distracting. All right. Here we go. A few bumps with the Big G. You wanted to see me? Said the Big G as he sat down beside him, belly up at the bar. Rodney looked over at him. The Big G wasn't at all what he expected. Black curly hair, slicked back with pomade. He had on a white dress shirt with a thin black tie, a pinstripe coat with matching pants. The bartender came over. What do you have, buddy? The Big G looked at the liquor selection. I'll take a Manhattan, no ice. So, the Big J drinks Manhattans? Rodney thinks to himself with a grin and then tells the bartender, top me off here, will ya? The bartender hesitates, knowing how drunk Rodney Delaney is already, and then looks at the Big G. Double malt scotch, isn't it, Mr. Delaney? The Big G asks. Yep, Rodney answers. The Big G nods and the bartender pours it full. After his sip, Rodney looks over at the Big G. Are you really? I, I mean, are you? I am, the Big G confirms. Now, What is it you needed to talk to me about, Mr. Delaney? Get the fuck out of here, Rodney laughs. You're no more the big G than I'm St. Patrick. Get out, you fucking moke. The room gets quiet, and the bartender tenses up. The big G looks up at him and winks, and everyone returns to business as usual. I don't really have time for these games, Rodney. The big G looks at his watch. I do have other appointments today. Oh, I'm sure you do. You're like Santa Claus, ain't ya? You have 30 seconds, Mr. Delaney. Otherwise, I need to move on to my next appointment. The big G raised his glass to his lips, and Rodney watched the Manhattan drift into his mouth. He wasn't sure if he had enough liquid courage to speak out to the big G and say what was really on his mind. Not everyone got an audience with the big G, and he only had a few seconds left. Time's up, Mr. Delaney, the big G said as he put his glass down on the bar. Maybe next time I visit, you won't beat around the bush with this sideways anger. As the big G stood up from his bar stool, Rodney Delaney grabbed him by his pinstriped suit coat. Hold on, he shouted, his face red with rage and liquor. You gave me 47 years of misery and then give me 30 seconds to talk about it? You've got a lot of fucking nerve. The big G stopped, as well as everyone else in the bar. A smile came to the corner of his lips, and you could hear sighs of relief throughout. He turned towards Rodney and sat back down. The bartender looked at him. The big G nodded and was poured another Manhattan. He pulled out a cigarette from his breast pocket and lit it, blew out a plume of smoke, and stared into Rodney's face. 47 years, Mr. Delaney? He asked, with that smile still caught on the corner of his mouth. That's a bit of an exaggeration, isn't it? Give or take, he spat. I've had nothing but hell and misery. Mr. Delaney. Rodney. Did you not have good parents? Well, yes, they provided for me, but they used to fight sometimes. Sure, I had a nice home. We did family vacations. But my dad used to hit me, and my mother all the time. He had a short fuse, and sometimes I thought he'd kill my mother. Then when mother found out he was cheating on her, fuck, she lost her mind. She just fucking lost it. And I was just a kid, and I didn't know what to do. So in a way, your dad taught you a valuable lesson, the big G said calmly. A lesson? Rodney's anger started to flow again. How is beating the shit out of me and my mother teaching me a lesson? Spare the rod, spoil the child? Is that your almighty wisdom? He taught you how not to be a father and how not to be a husband. Well, because you were a good father and you were a good husband, weren't you? Well, that's the key word there, ain't it? Anger and calm were playing on a seesaw of his heart. Now hurt came to play. I was a good father, and I was a good husband. A lump in his throat coagulated, and he started to sob. After a bit, He wiped his eyes and drew his handkerchief from his back pocket and blew his nose. He looked around at the bar and then bitterly at the big G. You fucking bastard, he said under his breath. You fucking took them from me. Why is it, Mr. Delaney, that whenever someone around here dies, it's my fault? Whenever something bad happens, it's all pinned on me. Because you've got your hands in everything. And like people don't have their own minds, their own wills to go about and do things against my orders. You want me to rub out everyone that disobeys my direct orders? Rodney drank a small sip from his scotch. Why not? He finally answered. I would. You're not me, Mr. Delaney. You never could be. If I began to eliminate every single person because they didn't obey me, there'd be bodies miles high. Because not everyone is perfect, are they? I couldn't single out a single offender. It would have to be a zero tolerance effort. If that were the case, then I'd have to take you out as well, Rodney. Rodney shivered, started to think that maybe he shouldn't have called the big G here. He could rub him out right here in front of everyone, and nobody would bat an eyelash. What did I do to deserve this? Rodney asked quietly. I tried to be a good man. I tried to obey your orders. But I feel like I've been kicked in the face for it, going unnoticed. The big G put his neatly manicured hand on his shoulder. You didn't ask for this, for any of this. Nobody ever does, Rodney. Things just happen. And you take what you learned from whatever past you came from, and you try to steer around it. That's how it works. My Stella, Rodney began to cry again. My baby Janie. They're with me now, Mr. Delaney. Rest assured, I'll take good care of them. That's bullshit! Anger rose up so quickly from hurt. I need them! Why do you need them for? Don't you have plenty of people with you already? Why did you have to take them from me? You son of a bitch! With that, Rodney cocked his calloused fist back and released it into the big G's face. The big G landed on the floor, and the bar patrons stood from their tables, looking on in horror. I'll kill you, you bastard! He landed a kick to the big G's ribs. You can't kill me, Mr. Delaney, the big G spoke calmly. He did not attempt to fight back, nor did he attempt to stop Rodney from his assault. Rodney grabbed a nearby beer bottle and broke it on the lip of the bar, and then started stabbing the big G in the neck with the jagged edges. Blood spurted out, and a crimson stain bloomed on the neatly starched collar of the big G's white shirt. Get up! Rodney shouted. Get up, you son of a bitch, and fight me! The big G only sat up, dabbed his finger on his collar, and assessed the blood on his fingertips. I'm not going to fight you, Rodney. Just let it out. Rodney grabbed him by his gorged shirt collar and stood him up. He went forward with his forehead into the bridge of the big G's nose, over and over and over again. After the first two, his nose snapped and spurted blood from his nostrils. He cocked another haymaker and let it flow right into the jaw of the big G. A couple of teeth jettisoned from his mouth, and his jaw looked unhinged. He grabbed a bar stool and pummeled the big G over the head with it. The big G went down. The bar stool broke apart, and Rodney found that all he had was a busted leg of it. He beat the big G repeatedly with the leg over and over again. He was sobbing as he struck. It was relentless. The others around only stood there with mouths agape, waiting for some sort of retribution from the big G. But the big G only laid there, still, on the ground, while being pummeled by this madman who couldn't seem to stop the bludgeoning insanity that had let loose within him. He was crying out, cursing the air, and spitting on the big G. And finally he stopped. He collapsed exhausted onto the ground, gasping for breath. His knuckles hurt, and his head throbbed. But most of all, guilt welled up inside of him like a wave of stomach flu. What have I done? He finally sobered and realized what he was doing. Oh, shit! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! He sat up and looked at the big G, who lay prostrate on the floor. Splinters of wood and glass around, on, and in him. A large, jagged laceration on his neck, which blood was starting to slow. Blood decorated his askew jaw as well, and his neat clothing. The big G's skull was caved in part way from the right ear to the bridge of his nose. Oh, shit, oh, shit, oh, shit, he kept repeating, poking the big G's body. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. He looked around and everyone tried to look away from his gaze. He was alone in this one, and he knew he was going to pay for what he had done. Somebody help me, he yelled to the crowd. No answers came. Help me, damn it! They all just started to walk slowly backwards towards the door. Oh, no, 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 no! He started to sob again, but it seemed like there were no tears left in him. His body started to cool from the layer of angered sweat that coated his body from a few moments ago. Just then, a hand landed on his own bruising, throbbing knuckles. It's okay, Mr. Delaney, said the voice beside him. It was the big G. No harm, no foul. Rodney Delaney looked up, and the big G was restored whole again, as if nothing had ever happened. What? What the hell? It's out of your system now, Mr. Delaney. The big G stood up and helped Rodney to his feet. But I thought I killed you. You should be dead from what I did to you. This doesn't... I told you that you can't kill me. I'm the big G after all. I don't go down easy. But it was all necessary to help you heal. I need a drink. That's one thing you don't need, Rodney. Not now. Come on. Let's go get some air, shall we? Rodney looked into the big G's eyes, looking for something in there that said, Step outside, Rodney, because I'm going to make a mess of you before I kill you. But there was only kindness in those eyes that he couldn't make out the color of. They both walked out of the bar together without looking back. When they stepped outside into the fresh St. Paul air, Rodney felt clean again. In fact, there were no more blood spatters on his skin and clothing. That dirty, caked sweat was gone, and he felt as if he'd taken a nice hot shower. Even the booze induced intoxication was absent. I. I'm new again, he asked the big G. In a way, you're still Rodney Flint Delaney, with the same life you had before we met, the same absences you had in your life. Nothing's changed on the outside. There was still an ache in his heart when he thought about his wife and his daughter. But it wasn't a cold, piercing stab. It was a warm hole in his heart. Even a tear flowed restlessly from his eyes. You're a good man, Rodney. It's good to have a man like you in the family. There aren't a lot of people like you around. But, but in there, I. He felt shame wash over him. The big G brushed it off. We all fall, Rodney. Happens to the best of us sometimes. I forgive you, so forgive yourself. With that, he produced a fedora that Rodney didn't notice he had before and put it on top of his own head. I'm off to my next appointment, Mr. Delaney. If there isn't anything else. Rodney looked up at the blue, cloudless sky and then down at the big G. No, no, I don't think so. Are you sure? Well, can can you tell Stella and Janie that I love them and miss them? They already know, Rodney. They can hear you and feel you. But I'll remind them. Enjoy the rest of your evening, Mr. Delaney. Tomorrow is another day. The big G walked off into the crowd, disappearing into that ocean of people. Rodney stared at the spot he last saw him for about a half hour, and then he looked around. A small smile formed at the corner of his own mouth, and he walked home. And that, my friends, is the end of a few bumps with the big G. I hope you guys enjoyed like that. I hope you enjoyed the accents. So the whole idea behind that story was I wanted to. Well, I was thinking about uh, what if you really wanted to meet God because you were really pissed off at him, and and where would you meet him? And most of the time when I meet friends or whatever people I need to have a talk with, it's either for coffee or it's for a drink. And I thought, how perfect would it be to meet God at a bar? And then I thought, well, let's take it back in time and make it be like a 1940s, 1930s bar. Um, Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Bobby. And you know, have God be like a gangster, like a mob boss, and Delaney, of course, Irish with the history of St. Paul. So groovy. Thanks, Kevin. So anyhow, there you go. That's it for tonight. Um, Join Bobby and myself on Thursday. We'll be doing some jamming. Um, for what are we calling it now? Toe tapping Thursdays, and then Sunday we're going to be doing coffee with friends a little a little early. We're gonna do it an hour early. So and the reason for that is I'm gonna be a medic at the Bavarian Blast, which is to be honest with you, I don't know what it is. I think it's a summer celebration in New Ulm, and I'll be in the medic tent for a few hours. And I'm going to be doing that Saturday, and then they called to confirm it today, and then they kind of guilted me into taking Sunday as well. So yeah, so we're gonna do it. We're gonna do coffee with friends an hour early. So be ready for that. Set your alarms. I'm sure the three of us are gonna be pretty tired. Well, maybe not Bobby, because Bobby usually wakes up at 4 or 5 in the morning because he's a psycho. But yeah, so come out for that. Larry, I do have to apologize to you for yesterday's coffee. Um, I watched the playback on that and I could barely hear you at all. I think that is due to a bad mic cord. So my apologies. So we will have to ask you to come back again sometime and join us for coffee, and we can redo that whole thing again. So, but it was a pleasure to have you. It was a pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet everybody that came out there to the Makers Fair. Pleasure to have you guys here tonight. I'm glad you enjoyed the story. We'll have a sci-fi story for you next week called Row 157, I think it is. Row 137 is what it's called. So yeah, we'll be reading that next Monday. So join me then, same time, and we will talk to you guys later. Peace and a bottle of hair grease. Love y'all. Mwah. I like doing that because it bothers Pimo. So, anyways, that's for you, Kev. I think there was something up with that mic. No worries, mate. All right, man. Thank you very much. And have it. Stay the fuck out of the heat. Jeepers creepers. It's fucking getting old.